Ouachita watershed, but actually this presentation is going to list the scenic rivers all over the state. But you want to pay close attention to scenic rivers. Actually, before I went to work for the Ag Center, I was a producer and I knew very little about scenic rivers. But, you know, if you're a landowner or producer, it's very important that you have an understanding of this because it has implications, you know, if you do some things that you're not supposed to do. But basically, Louisiana Natural and Scenic River System, it's one of the largest in the nation. And we have a unique state river protection initiatives that are involved with it. We have 59 streams, rivers, bayous, and stream complexes and segments thereof, and like 1,700 miles of natural and scenic rivers in the state. Any addition or deletions to the scenic river system has to be made by the Louisiana legislature. It was created in the 1970s. It outlined the requirements for a river to be included, established a regulatory program, and it is empowered by the Secretary of Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to administer the system through regulation and permits. The activities, if you're in an area that has a scenic river, there are activities requiring permits. This is building of a bridge, pipeline, power line, crossings, building of any types of piers, docks, ramps, bulkheads. If you own a camp or a house adjoining a scenic river, wastewater discharges are required to have permits. If you're doing any land development adjacent to the river, any type of prospecting or mining, if you withdraw irrigation water from a scenic river, you have to have a permit, and any aerial application or pesticides to fields that are adjacent to these scenic rivers require permits. The activities that require notification, the Louisiana Department of Forestry, if you're going to do any selective harvesting in a 100-foot buffer of the low water mark of a state scenic stream, you have to contact the Louisiana Office of Forestry. Also, if you're doing any cutting of trees for insect or disease control, or even if you're harvesting trees for personal use, for like firewood or whatever, by the person who owns or leases the property. But this is one of the things that has happened in the past that everybody needs to take note of. Disposal of trees or tree chops into a scenic river is a violation of both the State Water Pollution Control Act and the Scenic Rivers Act. The landowner is liable for the violation of this nature regardless of who actually placed the trees or tops in the stream. So if you were to go and cut any types of limbs, you know, after the storms like we've had, and cut down trees or limbs, and you go and say, well, I'm going to store them over here by this stream. If that is a scenic stream, you understand that if you own that land, you're in violation. If you put it on somebody else's land, that landowner is the one that's in violation. So I don't think you'd probably want that to happen. The activities that are prohibited by the state of Louisiana is any type of channelization, any clearing or snagging that would take place, any impoundments, or any commercial clear cutting of timber within 100 foot of the low water mark. The penalties for these, civil penalty up to $1,000 for each violation. Each day on which a violation occurs is a separate offense. So there are criminal penalties for the first, second, and third and subsequent offenses. If you want to look at maybe which rivers and streams that we have in the state that are already in the scenic rivers list, then Fish Creek is one, as you can see right down here at the little blue line. Fish Creek, Trout Creek, these are small, it can be a segment or an entire river, it can be a subsegment, it can be a part of a river. So, you know, if I was to say the Tensas River is a scenic water body, part of it may be and part of it may not be. So you need to pay close attention to where you're located and where that part is. This is what Trout Creek looked like. This was back in 2014. Little River, Corny Bayou. This is Corny Bayou. This was taken several years ago. By Darbone. You see the whole list that we have quite a few that are up in the northeastern part of Louisiana. So we have quite a few. Now, if you want to look at Scenic Rivers statewide, then you can see all the either segments, subsegments, or streams or rivers that we have outlined here. All of those are Scenic Rivers. So if you're living close to one of those, or you own land or rent land that are close to these, you want to pay close attention to the rules and regulations. If you have any questions regarding this, Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries is the agency that administers all the regulations and permits. The contact person is Chris Davis. He's actually located in Baton Rouge, and there's his office number and an email address. So I think that's all of that presentation. Anybody have any questions?